United States, it's about a 60-40 swing when you're talking about market share. And this is just me understanding, okay, we have this stuff on our phones, we have this stuff on our apps. What are the apps that are going to come out? What are you looking at for different platforms? Because they work similar, but not exactly the same. But one thing that's very similar about them is it's all about the money. Okay, so it's trying to keep your attention. And this is a regional analysis. If you look, you see in North America, it's about 60-40. Asia, you see kind of a visual representation of what that means. And so in this age, yeah, it's more about personalization and automation, just making it more money for you to spend time on your app, but also manipulating people who really are not mature enough or brains haven't developed. And this is what I'm talking about here. You're talking about your app, but your app able to go in and access your location, context, calendars, reminders, but do it in a way that is unique to what you're doing, or being able to tell your phone, hey, do this, and go on the app, change the location, send an email, okay, or connect to the microphone at this time or not, and having the app do it automatically, the AI turn it on or off. And this is called Project Astra. And you can look it up. Okay, this is something that they're working on, the Android platform, which is similar to Apple Intelligence, but it all uses something called Generative AI on the device. And so if you have an iPhone, basically this area as well, the app, you can have it do reminders, calendars, speech recognition, access your camera. And this is what they have for Apple. So this is the playground that has been created to take advantage of Apple Intelligence. So you would use Xcode, program an app, and actually have its own on-device AI to do whatever you want it to do. So this is kind of the new frontier when you're talking about the Apple ecosystem. It is more secure, but you still got to understand, what's occurring with your app. Any questions on that one?
Brother Hood, it looks like,
yes, sir.
Is this the new crack epidemic?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's one way of looking at it. Yes, it is. If you really think about it that way, but it's happening in such a way that it's already, you can kind of see it already happening with some of these addictions, with the addictive loops of scrolling and mindless, endless scrolling. But when you have a younger generation where the brains aren't developed, then you have different types of behavior, different types of things that's happening. I mean, think about TikTok, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a dive here in the next couple of slides coming up. I'm really showing you guys how TikTok became so popular, because it started out with a Chinese app that still is in existence, and they're using a psychological model to actually get you hooked on the crack. That's what it is. So, yeah.
Brother, listen. As far as that TikTok is concerned, there was a suit not too long ago where the United States were talking about just eliminating access to TikTok for American citizens altogether. But they were talking about content that wasn't even legal to show the children in China, but they're showing the children here. Do you know anything about that?
I certainly do. I'm glad you mentioned it. To be honest with you, if you really look at it, in my research, my 15 years doing this, in some circles and in some ways, I think you can say this is a form of cyber weapon. Because think about it. The different behaviors, suicide, choking, degenerate behavior is something that is learned through these apps. And so if you're sending the wrong kind of content over time, then you're going to have kids exerting those kind of behaviors. Okay, a lot of it is it's a serious thing, and as I go through these slides, you're going to see what I'm talking about here, because it's a transformation that's happening. That's really what it is. It is a real transformation, and this transformation is what I'm talking about. We need more regulation on ethics, and if you really look at it across the board, in Europe they have more filters and restrictions than we do. It's like an open season out here. They've been trying to get rid of TikTok. Now, since then, they've had some things in there, but there still is a lot of harmful content that should not be on there, but that a lot of kids are exposed to. So we have to rethink the workflows, the models of technology. because really it's all about the strategy, not just the tools. And so sometimes you could say, okay, yeah, well, TikTok has this other kind of information. Yeah, well, it has this kind of information too, and there's no real filter to block it because it is causing a lot of harm. And as you'll see in these upcoming slides, I'm going to go a little bit more into that about what these terms are and how to recognize it. Because if you're just a business, looking at the bottom part of this slide, you just need to develop systems that you can scale and keep operational costs low. But you got to understand, if you're a consumer, a parent, or a caregiver, how important it is now to keep updated on these things and how they impact your students and the safety protocols emerging. Because when you look at companies, if you want to build something and you want to do something in this space, then you're going to have filters, safety for fewer lawsuits, okay? And you're going to have to adhere to certain policy. And that's what we need to do. And all these lawsuits are starting to happen. You have just recently, I think about 7 days ago, Disney and Universal suing this company called Midjourney because they're using their AI. They're training the stuff on their AI. And you can look all of this stuff up. It's all current. And so a big decision that has come down that we're still waiting on is if chatbots are products, the courts are delving into whether they qualify as products, which affects the negligence and a product liability claims. In the Florida case, the judge ruled it could be treated as a product and refused to dismiss that it's just a product and no liability. Courts are pushing back on developers claiming free speech immunity, suggesting that outputs may carry liability. So we have child safety, regulatory precedents, all this stuff is happening now, but it's kind of under the radar. The media doesn't really talk about it unless you're really in the kind of developer space or you deal with technology. But there is a lot that's coming on board about mental health. And here's an example of some of these apps. And I just kind of looked at Japan, China a little bit, and some of these apps as a comparison. And the comparison is apps in Asia, apps in the USA. So if you look at the first one, and because the reason why I chose Japan, because Japan, to me, is almost like an experiment, because people are not giving birth, people are not getting married. There's a lot of chat bots. People are having virtual relationships, and there's a lot of stuff that's impacting society in Japan. And what are the most popular apps? Here they are. You've got emotional engagement, avatars, customization, realism, like really thinking that you're talking to a person. And so if you look in Replica, Kindroid, Wisa, some of these are CBT-based mental health apps, okay, that are really, really taking advantage of people who, may really not understand what's going to be happening with some of the style that the AI experience is giving you.
Brother Hood.
What's up?
Question.
Yes.
People are having relationships with chat boxes?
Yes, they are. You can look it up. There's people who are having definitely virtual girlfriends and boyfriends with these AIs.
Oh my God.
And what's happening is some of these are actually so addicting and so